What's up, world? What's up, Zion? It's Prince Easy coming at you again, as usual. I do have a couple slides, right? I hope you are accustomed to the program at this point, right? So, let's get to them. The things that do be coming out, right? Yeah, I hope we got that Libyan oil and stuff. They're calling it the breaking of the ranks. Not doing the right thing, no, it is breaking of the ranks. There was an established rank, and that rank definitely mean everything is under Zionists, full stop. Right? Look at this. Some impressive stuff right there. But still, I don't think it's a machine component of these procedures that you have to be thinking about, but rather the uncontrollable aspect of the procedure, and that would be the person, right? Because as far as I see it, most of these procedures, even the procedure with the teeth, people would need to go under, right? They would need to go under or be, I don't know, incapacitated somehow in order for the procedure to be conducted safely, right? I don't know why this is not big news, but hey, these people, all they want is the Jeffrey Epstein files. All they want is to, I don't know, the Zionists to stop killing people and stop occupying other people's countries, and basically the Western European elite to stop causing nonsense all over the world. That's what people want. But hey, they found life on Mars. This is not even the first time, right? I've been covering these things for years. This is not the first time, yes? Last time it was on a moon, if you remember, if you recall. It was on a moon of a certain planet, right? Yeah. So, what are we looking at? Okay, we're looking at a drone. Then I ask, what are we looking at? We're looking at a crashed drone. Then I ask, what are we looking at? We're looking at a crashed Russian drone. Again, I ask, what are we looking at? How did it fall? Explain the crash. How did that crash happen? Because it seems to me like in this case here, they just took it from somewhere and they just put it there. All right? But again, maybe it's a decoy. Then again, where is the debris? No debris, no nothing, like just one piece like that. I just have questions. If your law enforcement is telling you this, then you better listen. If it was me, I would listen. Right? If a soldier came to me and told me, yo, you are not safe, I would listen. Okay? I would pay attention. Nigga, explain. What are you talking about? Hmm? How many times does Egypt need to stand firm? Well, there goes the negotiator number two, or rather mediator number two. It's almost comical at this point. But again, this is real life. Real life. They say we are going to meet for talks, they bomb the venue. Yeah, right. You people deal with that. Hmm? They're calling it a betrayal in quotations. Right? We shall examine these facts if it was a betrayal. Or how would we frame it? Hmm? Of course, right? Everybody is afraid of him. Apparently, not just him. Everybody is afraid of him. Hmm? Well, point of correction. It's not World War III. It is a European war. This nonsense has to stop at one point. You know, the people who are spewing this nonsense are most definitely old people who are still fighting World War II or World War I or something, if such people even exist. I hope they do. Because this is nonsense, right? This is not this is not World War III. No, this is a European war. Okay? This is a European war. European tribes going after each other. Right? I was watching one interview. I don't know if it was Judge Napolitano or Scott Ritter and somebody. And basically, they were saying, they were talking about the strain between the EU and the US, and basically I don't know if it was the host or what, he gave a remark and he said, please, America, do not leave Europe, because if you leave, the only thing that will remain is just fighting, you know. They will just fight within, among themselves. Right? Is that a reality? Yes, it is. Right? Because the great project of the Zionists and the great project of America, they are the things that at least the Europeans in a long time agree. Right? But again, that project is not going their way, right? Both of these projects. And here we are. Hmm? Of course, now you are a non. You have chosen to align yourself with Hamas. Do you know what that means? Qatar and Egypt and all of you people that have been telling you, and you've been knowing that you're gonna get hit, right? And these people here are those quote unquote Israelis, right? The idiots one at least. They believe that what was said in the Bible is gonna happen there. That the day that these people rise up collectively against them, some fire will come from heaven to burn them. Like really, that's what they believe. Okay, God is merciful, but not that merciful. Okay. Okay. And it was convoluted. Since they want to have control, they wanted to have control over prophecy and how it unfolds. And I did made a video about this, right? It's all in the numbers, the unknown number of people who die on earth that triggers events, right? You can call it sorrow, you can call it lamentations, you can call it, it comes in many forms, right? But the more brutal the oppressor becomes, the more aggressive the heavens become to counter said force, right? To maintain equilibrium so as people can also partake in good deeds, right? And hence enjoy the fruits thereof, right? Okay, another big news, right? This is not new to me personally. This is not new. I've been hearing this for a long time, right? 2009, been hearing about this stuff circulating around, right? And there's even footage, right? They won't show you the footage, at least not yet. But again, their release of the footage in the first place was to, basically it was bait, right? So as they could bait those people who are awake, who catch on quick, and basically take them out so as the masses can be left vulnerable, right? But me personally, my long years and a lot of things I have seen, there is footage out there, right? One basically hovers over, it's like a ball thing, and they say for a minute they lost control, right? And it was a whole situation, right? Even during the Cold War, especially the Cold War, this was okay. But again, these things are gonna come out slowly, meticulously, right? They have told you they have life on Mars, right? They have told you that they have shot a Hellfire missile on one of these crafts, and it has basically, from their words, bounced off. They come from the ocean. They can maneuver at in ways that we have not even achieved yet, so to speak. They still had security ties. Right? Basically, they just castrated Qatar because they know Qatar has the potential of countries like Iran. But now they rather make the Qatarians support and make ISIS and all of that. Right? The so-called Qatar intelligence. What a freaking joke. You were castrated, full stop. You outsourced the most important guarantor or is it guarantor or guarantee for your sovereignty, which is your security. You just basically outsource that nonsense, right? And again, this is another phenomenon, right? And governments can help solve this situation here, right? Again, NASA alien evidence, right? Sci-Fi Canyon, there's a whole canyon out there, rock discovered. Right, this is a picture from Mars, and they have found aliens on Mars. Why isn't this so important to human, like the billions of wealth that we have invested in finding aliens has it paid off, basically. So why don't we throw more billions? We might find, I don't know, two-legged or four-legged or bacterials, right? It depends how much we pay for these space programs with our sweat and blood, right? Do I see Rwanda over there? Brazil divided. That's not good. That's not good, because it seems that some people are in their feelings and not using much of their mental, and some of them are using a lot of their mental and less of their feelings. and here we are. They have seen a crack in the armor. This is so broken I can't even begin. But I bet this was not Kenyan by design. This was all paid for by the foreigners. They play both parties. They play both parties, and this is exactly what happened under the table deals and stuff. Right? All of this was designed. This is my opinion. Right? All of this was designed. And the powers that be played both Kenya and Somalia. So what would be the solution? What would be the only Achilles heel to their plan? You on the same table. That will literally be a nightmare. Hence, what I've been emphasizing. But hey, what the hell do I know? They have Jabbaland over there. Well, let's answer the question. Is it about betrayal? Right? It's the question about the modern technology of warfare, right? Modern technology and warfare has created a level of integration that cannot really be sold to a third party or a quote-unquote partner without them basically giving up some access to this technology, right? Because these crafts, for instance, connect to satellites, right? Military satellites, which have military grade encryption, so they say, right? And they connect with ground command units, right? And they connect to the missiles also, right? The missiles themselves have chips in them, right? They can just give this technology in full and access to just anybody, right? This is just logical, right? This is just logical, right? The F-35s, everything from the West has been highly integrated, right? Even their infantry fighting vehicles, somehow they need to be integrated into this network, right? This is a big vulnerability. All you're saying is that if you just wipe out your satellites, you'll be back in the dark ages in a communication type sense. That's what it is. If I cause a high discharge on in the ionosphere, then boom, you're out of the game. Right? You're out of the game. But again, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Right? And the most important aspect of this, the so-called air defense systems, right? The air defense systems, what happened to them? That is the question, right? And this question, the answer of this question will even help us to understand the whole situation of the Ukrainians' air defense, right? Because some of these things are highly classified, you know, but they can't help themselves, right? So they have these operators training and basically enticing, right? And basically teaching Western Europeans that the Russians are bad and you need to form legions and to go to fight the Russians for the sake of your generations, you know. That's what they spew at each other with millions of views, and many people have been whacked, brothers and sisters, right? Many people have, not even Ukrainians, many from various countries, from what I see, because of the cockiness, right? And the views and the remarks, right? It's like crazy. They like war. They like war. They like to fight, right? They're not like chill or anything like that. They like to fight. They always pick fights and a bully, right? United States of Africa, right? This is the Western-centric view, right? Because they know for a fact their technology would stagnate. They would have to be humble. They would have to come and beg. That is what they will always allude to. They will always allude to that fact, right? And there are other people amongst them, other Europeans that say, okay, we are going to be fine, right? We don't believe that Africans are the way that they are portrayed or anything of sort. And we believe that they are civilized and we can work on a mutual arrangement in order for both of us to progress, you know. But there are some who have this Pete Hexeg's mentality, right? They have a mentality that by force they're gonna get everything, you know. That's what they believe, you know. And your MO is all the same, you know. Your MO is the same thing that you are doing to me, you know. Like, for instance, if you don't do what we say, we're gonna kill you. Like, what? Right? Or we're gonna cause harm to you or your loved one or things like that. You know? Are you serious? You know, you can't buy my loyalty. You can't. No, right? This country did not buy my loyalty, nor did the Chinese, nor the Russians, nor the North Koreans. They didn't give me nothing. Okay, they didn't give me nothing. I'm just a human, part of humanity, and trying to unravel the webs that you have created, and you're trying to wrap your webs around me. Imagine that, me on the other side. Right? Imagine that, me on the other side. There's no such thing as a leak. They did this intentionally. They did this intentionally, right? Because, again, they have to open up a new front, right? God is with them, right? They are going after Qatar, Egypt, now Turkey. This is gonna end up great for them. This is, you know, these people have bigger plans, right? Those people over there, they're just there to be sacrificed, right? They're just there to be sacrificed, okay? Those people who expect a greater Israel, they are there, they exist to be sacrificed. They have bigger plans at play here, right? Again, bigger plans. But as long as people keep focusing on the distraction, which is that which they want you to focus on, and what they are not, and not focus on what they are doing in a greater scale to be concerned, people are stuck on their borders, you know. They are on lockdown, right? They are on lockdown. Somebody can just do that because of a threat, an unspecified threat. Was it a genuine? Was it a solid threat? How? What level was it? Yeah, this is 2025. It promises zero bribes, only glitches. Right? Here we are. This is what they're saying, and this is what they're doing. They have their whole equipment, right? All of that in their background. They don't know that in modern warfare, a one Iskander missile can wipe all of that equipment behind them. One single shot. Not even that expensive of a missile compared to the equipment. But nah, They want you to be, at this point, just a sacrifice, to protect their, I don't know, aging agenda. And this guy comes into the picture, right? They're pulling out all the guns right now, right? Last time it was the president of the Zionists. Now we have this idiot talking about the war cannot end. He said it, the war cannot end. And he was, I don't know, proud of himself that he took an aircraft from where he was, from the comfort of his household, right? And he went over there to tell him, you have to fight on. But sir, we are 1.7 million people down. Nah, you have to fight on. So yeah, we are gonna, again, the Ukrainians can stop this at any point, any time, right? That is the easy way. The hard way is Russia has to, I don't know, bomb its way through. Me personally, I prefer the first option, that people wake the hell up and take control over their countries. But if not, then you deserve to burn. Yes, you deserve to burn, right? You can't have people like from Germany, Merz, people like Ursula, right? Come out here and talk reckless and say that they're representing you. How, when, don't you know how ways that you can make your opinions be heard, right? If you have created a system that has made these people untouchable, quote unquote, then yeah, you stay on the back seat, right? If that's comfortable.
Why did you say that the price of civilization?
I expressed this opinion, right, a long time ago, right, and not to affirm this, but it's just a theory, right? It's just a theory that I personally came to the same conclusion. I said, okay, there is a correlation here, but again, how does one reverse said process that has already been taking place, right? So let's listen, right? Keep an open mind, right? This is just a view, right?
Rival is the equality of women. Because if women have a full ability to enter into all facets of the human condition, if they can enter business, if they can enter religion, science, government on an equal basis with men, they will be so busy that they won't feel as necessary to have a great many children. As long as you have women under conditions where they don't feel any sense of value, no self-worth, except as mothers, except as baby factories, they'll have a lot of children. Because that's the only way they can prove they're worth something. In general, if you look through the world, the lower the status of women, the higher the birth rate. And the higher the birth rate, the lower the status of women. So that if you could somehow raise the status of women, I am certain the birth rate will fall drastically through the choice of the women themselves. Why did you say that the...
Okay, that's an important answer at the end over there, right? There's population decline in Japan, in Europe in general. It's not because of immigrants. It's because your women are choosing not to have children in pursuit of other grander, so they think, right? Grander life ambitions, so and that, right? At least this is what the so-called conservatives believe, right? Now the problem becomes, how are they, since they hold this belief, right? Since they hold this belief, then what would be the situation? It would be to systematically deny their women, right? Leaving only motherhood to be their greatest achievement. And I don't know what that will look like, but again, we are going to find out. We're going to find out, right? It's a logical conclusion, but it's just one aspect of it, right? It's just one aspect of it. right? An important aspect of it, right? But again, it comes down to choice, right? Me having an explanation to what to why a phenomenon is occurring does not I don't know, equate to a solution, so to speak, right? But again, it's an interesting question to ponder. What would be the solution if one then believes this, right? Believes this, right? I believe women should do whatever they want, right? I have a young sister, and I would not in the world think about denying her anything, any pursuit in her life, right? But again, I would not even for myself, denying myself a family, even denying herself a family is I would have an opinion about it. But again, it's her womb, right? It's her womb. She can do whatever she wants with it, right? She's a whole person with a whole brain, right? So then maybe we change their minds, right? Not the environment by denying them, because I don't think that's even an approach. We should question why are they not interested, right? Because they are the only people holding the key to the matrix, so to speak, right? The matrix to the reality, this tangible world here that we have. They have the doorway, so to speak, right? And why isn't that so important, right? Why isn't that seen as a very unique thing? I think it was a collective effort. I think it was a collective effort. But again, choices, and choices have consequences, and you cannot project, you cannot shift blame or anything of sort, right? You just have to deal with the fact that people are choosing not to have children. They are choosing not to have children. Why? That's a whole other question that we can dive into, right? So again, fair use, maybe it's too late. Fair use disclaimer, right? We banned content. Another fair use disclaimer.
With harmful stereotypes about Jews, such as the claim that Jews run the world or other major institutions. We banned content claiming Zionists run the world or control the media. A few moments later. When you think about it, the masters of the universe are Jews. We've got Altman and AI, we got Zuckerberg, we got Sergey Brin, we got the whole group across the board. Jan Holmes, head of founded WhatsApp. It's us. And we have to figure out a way to win the digital battle. We banned content.
So you have access to all of this stuff, but still you lost the digital battle. How did you lose the digital battle? Right? You have Zuckerberg on your side. Right? He's monopolizing social media as we know it. Right? We have Elon Musk over here. How did you lose the digital battle? Well, this video is it's like a loop, right? We must win the digital battle. How are they going to win? You go back to the beginning of the video. They're gonna ban content, they're gonna and then when that is gonna fail expectedly, they're gonna do it again. Right? Since the days people were writing books, this was happening, right? They started censoring the Bible because it was talking about them in a bad light. Their tribe, to be specifically Ashkenaz, right? It was talking about the prophecies and all of that. They had to censor that Bible. They had to take themselves out and put themselves where they're not supposed to be and all of that, right? So you're telling me in the climate of the Middle East, white people were, come on people, like please. right? This intellectual dishonesty has to stop at one point, okay? We need to help the Palestinian people, right? The Christian majority has been sold in this false narrative. Like, seriously. Well, this was something, right? This was something, and I expect to see more and more of this stuff, right? Especially the remarks of the professor here, Wu Jin. I hope that's how it's pronounced, right? I've seen some even from DJ Asma, right? Went to the labs over there, right? But again, we need to broaden our horizon, right? We need to broaden our horizon. Our only pursuit in life cannot be tilling the ground and putting seeds in it, right? It's one very crucial aspect, but it's not the entirety of it. Yeah. So again, the level that this occurred, yeah, it is a proper educational cultural exchange, right? It was not at a diplomatic level, but rather a personal level, right? And this is what has been lacking, so to speak, right? So I shall put a link to this video, right? And of course, I would like to talk about this video and the opinions that have been expressed therein, right? I don't want to ruin the video for you, but you can go look it up for yourself in your own time, right? It's like 50 minutes or so. Great stuff, right? He brings in the facts, right? At this time, he was talking about Egypt, right? And even part of the scripture, right? The Egyptians are sometimes referred to as a force, a wicked force, right? A wicked force, right? And why? Well, you have to look into their culture, right? You have to look deep into their culture, right? They have achieved great many things, right? Even the empires of today, right? They have achieved great many things, but evil was their way at one point in time, and it's the same even with Egypt, right? But the special thing about Egypt is that what ensued in Egypt is spiritual corruption, right? Spiritual corruption, the worst kind of corruption, right? So I didn't make a video about mind control over mind control, right? You can watch that video, right? But in this particular case, we are talking about a condition that is, I think, misdiagnosed by scientists, if you can call them that, right? Psychologists. So let me dive into this, right? So in darkness or in secret, these are the conditions that evil grows, right? Evil grows, right? In darkness and in secrets, right? So I neither like secrets nor embrace the darkness, right? I don't like secrets. Why? Because they form some kind of barrier between brother and sister, right? And I know that I understand the importance of secrets, right? Some secrets at least, right? But if we were to examine the benefits and the disadvantages, I think would have a different conversation, right? So that's my opinion, right? In darkness and or in secret, this is where evil grows, you know, just like a fungi, mushroom, right? So the real you is when no one is looking, right? Some people have even used this phrase here, right? But if we look into African culture, we have a culture of masks, right? Drugs and spirit, all of these under the ban of spirituality, right? Masks, drugs, makeup, right? All of these things in the past were used as a channeling mechanism, right? There's a guy who was on YouTube who was talking all over about clowns and what he learned about the clowns across the cultures in the world, right? I think I shall also find the link to that channel, and I'll link it below in order to expand more, right? He wrote a whole book about it, right? And in simple terms, it's the same thing with today, right? The female human, right, without putting makeup, or sometimes go as far as to cut up themselves in order they can quote unquote fix, right? We are talking about non-medical here, right? It gives them confidence, right? The same thing with the VPN or incognito modes, right? Or anonymous accounts, right? The most secure platform on the internet, if that even exists, right? Or even the most secure device in the world, that would attract a lot of evil people, right? Not people looking for safety in a naive general way, right? I hope you understand what I'm saying, right? And all of these features, especially makeup, right? People get to pretend to be somebody else, right? And this is what that was about, right? Like you have, like in the video, it is talked about as so, right? And I think this is what is happening here, right? And as per correlation of other sources, right? And when you're tired of running from what you are, then you comply. You comply. You let people mold, right? You let people mold, right? Because you say, okay, I've been chasing the expectations of society, and that has gotten me nowhere. So let me mold myself to the image that society would accept, so to speak, right? And sometimes it's not necessarily a bad thing, and sometimes it's a good thing, right? But again, it's just the reality, right? It's human nature, right? This is here we are talking about vulnerabilities in the human psyche that cannot be easily, I don't know, secured, so to speak, right? Insecurities, right? Women have their own insecurities, men have their own insecurities, right? Balding, right? Having gray hair or white hair, right? You know what I mean? Being of no not being able to contribute to society. Some older people, that is their fear. But again, these are vulnerabilities that exist in people's minds. But again, we did talk about echo chambers, right, and the effects of echo chambers, right? So you can think of them as programming rooms, right? Programming rooms, right? So you're in a programming room that tells you you are a god. That means you are never wrong, right? You are never wrong, but there is a catch. You can be wrong if you go against the priest. So I think the prof was onto something, right? The prof was onto something, right? Because all of these movies that I've listed them here before you, right? They're all talking about the same thing, right? The boss level is a bit on the nose with the Osiris spindle and all of that, right? But Dune is the same thing, right? Dune with the so-called Bene Gesserits, right? I did make a video about this also, a long time ago, right? And why priests have more power and knowledge, right? Well, for instance, today, right? Let's make this information relevant, right? Presidents serve 1 term, 2 terms, they go, right? But if you want to know who is benefiting more from misery, then you have to look at the permanent aspect of this mechanism, right? The unchanging portion of government, right? Because the governments rotate, right? They rotate, they bring in new people, old people go and new people come, but because there's a consistency here, right? If there's a consistency, then there's supervision, right? Who are these groups that supervise to get consistency of results, right? So this consistency when it comes to rulership was brought about by channeling of fallen angels. This is what Egypt was up to, right? And we don't teach, or rather taught everybody, right? We are the OGs, right? Of course, the fallen angels have to come to us, right? If the corruption starts here, then there is no backup for humanity, so to speak, right? Everything just falling domino effect, they call it, right? So there's even another movie, right, pertaining to the example that the professor gave, right? The Smell, a movie that came out in 2022 or 2025 or something, right? It was a movie that had the two Chinese, I don't know if Korean or, but they were Asian leads, right? One of them even looked like the professor, right? I don't remember his name, right? But it was about that movie, right? They had these specific earphones that if they plug it in their ears and they press a button and they do something, right? Maybe eating bubble gum, maybe a certain smell, maybe it's the same thing, right? You can literally go onto YouTube right now, and there are literally a whole thriving markets of people selling scents. They are selling scents that will enable a person to channel a certain deity, right? This is what they believe, right? And of course, the most extreme form is, of course, blood, right? We can't even use the word, but since there's literally nowhere else, nowhere under I can go, right? Adrenochrome, right? blood filled with fear, right? So this gets them to disassociate. That's the term that you used, but I'm using it in another context, right? This is where they get out of body experience, right? Out of body experience, right? And of course, there are many ways across various cultures that this is achieved, right? Chanting, drumming, yelling, spinning, right? Some of them just spin, right? If you spin long enough, you will get a highness, if that is even a word, you know? And of course, we have others even take it to the near-death experience, right? In the movie The Infinities, right? There's even a character there who's the devil, and basically he's trying to have an audience with God, right? And he basically does these rituals in order to commune, and of course he gets silence, right? These are the truth. These are the truths that exist, right? If you take out the fallen angels out of the history of humanity, then everything will just be fuzzy, right? So every time a new pharaoh came up, right, they were given a costume, they were given certain type of makeup. All of these things were done ritualistically in order these entities could possess them, right? Here in Tanzania, we call it kiti, right? Kiti meaning chair, right? Because we'd been knowing for a long time this body that we have is literally like a chair, and you might do some things that might literally lift the person sitting on that chair, and basically another person coming to sit on that chair, right? We have this even example in the Bible, right? When Christ was going around and he saw this person that was possessed, and he's basically said he had a legion of demons, right? A legion of demons, that's many demons, right? So this vessel here, this body, can be possessed with multiple entities, right? And in their case, it was Ra, Osiris, and Horus, right? All of these deities would possess, right? This is how these fallen would rule, right? They would possess these people and enact their desires using the vessels of the pharaohs. If you think about it, it's perfect, right? You let people elect. Right? If now it's the now if this was happening now, right? You let people elect whatever president they have, and then you put that president in a programming that basically takes out his free will, right? That's basically stepping out of the chair, right? Stepping out of the control of your own body, right? And letting your image being used, right? Because the image is important these days, right? Images are important, right? iPhones keep selling. Why images? Not because they're impressive and technologically advanced. No, images, right? Images. People care a lot about their images, right? So if they care about their image, that's a vulnerability, right? Then these evil fallen entities that are disembodied, so to speak, right? Because they can exist in this side and the other side, but not both at the same time, so to speak, right? So they can acquire flesh using various means of witchcraft. No, it's called science. Right? If you discover what alchemy and all of that is, it's dark. It's magic, right? And magic is what now we call science, right? Just a rebranding, right? So that is what was unfolding with them people, right? And this, I'm just repeating myself at this point, right? For those who have been around for a long time, right? But again, it's important. I emphasize what is important, right? So That was what they are up to, right? And now they have picked up. The people who came to learn at our feet have picked up these habits and have taken them, and now it's a whole disaster, right? It's a whole disaster, right? So again, it's all mass programming, like you said at the end of the speech over there. The professor said, now you are the pharaohs. Now you are the pharaohs. So that's my contribution pertaining to that subject, right? If you don't get it, listen to what I said again. Trust me, you will understand. Okay, so yeah, so this was this video, right? And also I shall find the link of this video here and put it in the description, right? So we have I don't know, enough content at least, right? So anyway, let me put a pin on it right there, and we're gonna see each other when we see each other, right? Prince Easy, love you, signing out, bye.